So, in this video, I want to talk about the art of being yourself, just simply being who you are. I think it's so important. And I want to start with a quote, a very interesting quote by the writer, thinker, Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he has a fantastic quote, and it goes like this: To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. To be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. And definitely, I think that in my view, in my world view, right, that's all I'm sharing here, is that when you be yourself, when you truly sort of like just express who you are and how you think, you're happier, you're much more aligned. The other way of going through life is trying to fit in with what everybody else sort of wants you to be like. Society's expectations. Fitting into the mold, fitting into the box, right? And that is perhaps a safer way of going through life. You don't sort of ruffle feathers. You don't kind of, you just sort of go along with things in the way they're supposed to go along. But I think the downside of that is perhaps you don't be true to yourself, and you don't live authentically, and you don't feel fully alive. And there's an interesting story. I always, wisdom. I love like philosophy, and I love like wisdom stories. It's a major theme of my life, and I'd like to share with you a story that a great spiritual master, Yogiji Maharaj, used to say. And I'll adapt this story a little bit for the purposes of this video, but you'll get the sort of essence and the meaning of this story, okay? So, once upon a time, there were a husband and wife, and they had a bull, and they used to use this bull for their farming purposes and what have you, and they had to make a journey into the sort of town. And to make their way to the town, they have to go through various villages. And the first village that they came across, the husband was sitting on the bull, and the wife was walking along at the side. So everybody in the village said, "Oh my gosh, look at that man! Such a lazy individual, such a lazy man, sitting on top of that bull and making his poor wife walk along the road. How rude, how terrible." Hearing this, the farmer's wife thought, right, we've got to change places because people are speaking about us. And as they went along their journey towards the town, they came across another village. And in that village, they decided to swap places. So this time the wife was sat on the bull, and the husband was walking along. And this time in the village, what did the people say? They started looking and saying, "Oh, what, women these days, hey, no respect for their husband. She's just sat on that bull and making her husband walk along. Terrible, terrible. What a selfish woman." So now they said, "Oh, when in the first village they spoke about us, and when you were sitting on it, now in this village we swap places. They're still saying things about us. Right, what can we do? Right, let's do this. Let us both sit on that bull and we'll be fine." And they carried on their journey towards town. And they carried on the journey. They come across another village thinking, "Oh, no one's going to say anything to us now. We're both sat on the bull. It's fine. No one's walking." What did the people say? Looking out the windows and on the streets, pointing, gossiping. They said, "Look at these two lazy and cruel individuals. They're going to break that poor bull's back, right? It's terrible what they're doing. So, it's animal cruelty." So you can see there was a situation where, he sat on it, they said something. She sat on the bull, they still said something. They both sat on the bull, people are still saying something. There was one last village before they get to the town, and they thought, right, this is the only thing we can do. Nobody sits on the bull. Let the bull walk in the middle. I'll walk on this side, the husband says. He says to his wife, you walk on that side. No one can possibly say anything about us now. We'll be fine. And they're moving towards that town. And what happens? They go towards the town, and they're going past that last village, and the people say, look at these silly people. They've got a bull and they're not using it. And Yogiji Maharaj used to say this story, right? And it has a great message, and it has a great insight about human nature. And the insight is this: no matter what you do to try and make other people happy, to try and fit inside a box, to try and fit inside a certain mold, or keep people happy, right? Expectations, this, that. You've experienced this in your own life. People will never be happy. People will never be satisfied. There'll always be somebody that's upset with you. There'll always be somebody that's not quite happy with what you're doing, or disagrees with you. That's just life. That's just the way this world is set up, right? And we're all so different. We're all wired so differently in the way that we think, in the way of our, the things we've experienced in life, what we think is important, what we don't think is important. We all have different opinions on things. I think, in my opinion, which I'm sharing with you, is a big theme of my life is trying to show up as authentically as I can, to be true to myself as much as possible, and speak my truth. As Ralph Waldo Emerson says, to be yourself, right? To just be yourself. And yes, when you be yourself and you express yourself authentically, yes, people will perhaps have a reaction to that. People will perhaps not agree with you. That, you might ruffle feathers, okay? But the payoff is that you feel much more happier. You feel you've filled yourself up. You actually have that fulfilling life. So I think showing up authentically, being yourself, does take courage. It's not about following the crowd. It's not about being a sheep. It's about being a lion. It's about being authentic, true to yourself, and that takes a lot of inner work, and it's a process. But I'll make more videos and content around these sorts of themes. I hope that you're enjoying these vlog style videos. Please do let me know your thoughts on them. Like, subscribe, and see you in the next one. Thank you.